Hey, what's up, Lightbulb Joe here. Today we are going to discuss Season 1 of Sci-Fi's original show, Chucky. So we're right now in Season 3. Season 3 just premiered. Bro, this show is wild. It's wild. It's awesome. It's a great continuation of the story. We've grown in love and admired since 1988 when it first came out with 6-year-old Andy Barclay. Alex Vincent is back as Andy Barclay in this. You have Kyle back, and the two of them just traveling around the East Coast, just killing any Chucky doll. It's a good guy doll, excuse me, because Chucky can inhabit any good guy doll at this point, as long as it's an identical vessel. It's wild. So we start out with main character Jake Wheeler, who's played by this kid whose name I don't know. But I looked this up because he looked young, and he's playing a 14-year-old, and I'm like, it's very rare within film that a teenager is played by a teenager, or someone is playing a certain age and is playing that character of that certain age. And this show came out in 2021, excuse me. 2021 this came out. And I looked it up, and the main character was born in 06. So that means he was 15 when the show started, which means he was 14 when he filmed it, and he's 14 years old playing a 14-year-old Jake Wheeler in 8th grade. And I was like, bro, that's wild. That never happens. I was so excited to see it. That was the first point of me being so champion for this show. This is very representation matters, very inclusivity in regards to the LGBTQI plus community. It's very entertaining because you wouldn't think that, but in hindsight, jumping all the way back to what, 04 for Seed of Chucky, that was a massive breakout, groundbreaking kind of representation within that film, introducing a gender fluid character. So it's very cool seeing this. It's very cool seeing the longevity and the everlasting impact of a franchise within pop culture, but within societal aspects as well. It's just cool. It's cool seeing that. It's the first season's 8 episodes. It's very quick, but we get a lot of backstory. This is a prequel sequel kind of a thing. So we get a lot of backstory about Charles Lee Ray growing up on 987 Sherwood Lane in Hackensack, New Jersey, killing his mom after his dad was butchered by this assailant who was breaking into houses back then, and then him going into a foster care and killing somebody, and then him going into clubs and killing people and meeting Tiffany in a club and them going on killing sprees. So we get a full backstory from when Charles was a kid all the way up to meeting Tiffany, going on the killing spree, learning that Tiffany was the one who tipped off the cops, leading to the chase into the killing of the toy store. Wild. I did not expect all that backstory, but I'm so grateful we got it. My only concern with this property now is that everything since 1988 has been timeline specific. We've gotten years, we've gotten corresponding. The year the film came out is the year it took place, minus the third film, which was a time jump, and the end of the, end of the fifth film? One of those films was a time jump. I think Seed of Chucky was the time jump. Because we got a 5-year-old Glenn and Glenda at a birthday party in 2009. Then we get 4 years later, 2013, when Nika apparently is framed for the murder of her entire family. Then we get a 4-year later reference. You've been institutionalized for 4 years, making it 2017 when the events of the Cult of Chucky came out. That's when Chucky then possessed Nika. That's when Tiffany is still possessing Jennifer Tilly. And then they all go riding off into the sunset. And then Alex Vincent's character, Andy Barclay, is just locked in a room. So it's a matter of how did he get out and what happens now with the rest of the dolls around the world, right? So we learn that he gets out of the asylum. It's just assumed that Kyle helps him because she's his foster sister and he's her foster brother. So they're going to be the friends till the end, right? For the good old phrase. And so they're on the hunt to get rid of all of these Chucky dolls. That way he can't keep possessing a vessel. So while they're hunting, Jennifer Tilly, aka Tiffany, is collecting Chuckies for this master army plan that's revealed at the end, which is pretty neat. 72 Chuckies in total so far. So Jake Wheeler, played by this kid who was 14. I got to look up his name for the next review. I feel terrible because he's a good actor. Playing this 14-year-old. Is in 8th grade, and his mom passed away. Devon Sawa is in this. He's a horror king in general. We had our full Devon Sawa marathon recently. Not recently, a couple months ago. And he's just so great within horror. And so we knew he was going to be great in this. And he plays various characters in this. Very cool. So he plays twins, Lucas and Logan. And Lucas Wheeler is the dad of Jake Wheeler. Logan Wheeler is the dad of Junior Wheeler. And so the cousins don't like each other. The mom of Jake passed away, and Jake is gay, and his dad doesn't like that he's gay, and punches him in the face at one point. Very, very horrible father, homophobic moment. But then Chucky winds up killing him. That way Jake doesn't ever have to feel that way again. And then Chucky uses that as a tool, like, I'm your friend to the end, I got your back, that kind of thing. So Jake finds a Chucky doll at a yard sale and takes it home to try to dismember it to use for his sculptures that he does, because he's big into art. Very cool. And as the story progresses, it's just very interesting watching the character development of Jake, watching the character development of his crush, Devin, who they get together with. It was very, very, very awkward first kiss, and that's how a first kiss is, very awkward. They fall off the bike. It was hysterical. But them working together, fighting, but then working together. The enemy turned friend, Lexi, his bully. Very great character development as well. And that actress, she played young Dolly Parton in various movies and stuff. So that's cool seeing her now jumping from musical to horror. Very cool seeing that as well. But it's very neat seeing these teenagers in this time period, seeing these teenagers do these things and then try to figure out how to fight an army of Chuckies who are invading Hackensack, New Jersey, the hometown of Charles Lee Ray, aka Chucky. So the problem with this, the only problem I have with this, and I kind of mentioned it, but then I got off on the train of thought, and that's what happens. The last film ends in 2017. Okay, 2017 is when Nika is in horror something, Holbrook, not Holbrook. I don't remember the name. It's a mental facility in Rhode Island, right? And we know specifically it's 2017 because the doctor says you've been institutionalized for 4 years, the horrible doctor, and referencing that in 2013 is when she was tried and convicted for the murder of her 5 family members, right? Nika's character is going back and forth between Nika Brain and Chucky Brain, depending on what happens. And she says at one point, you know, he's possessed me for 2 weeks now. And then Kyle then reflects that at one point and says, 3 weeks ago, there was an escapee from this facility, and Chucky's been, you know, just causing terror ever since. So it should only be 2 weeks later, which means it's still 2017. But within the tech, right, the kids with their smartphones and using the social media apps, also the fact that on Logan Wheeler's gravestone, it says specifically October 19th, 2021. So there's a 4-year difference, right? 18, 19, 20, 21. There's a 4-year difference between the actual plot. So the characters who referenced time should have said 4 years ago, because the gravestone specifically said 2021 on it. So it's clearly not 2017 if the gravestone says 2021, but the characters should not have said a couple weeks ago because it's still referencing that we're still in 2017. This is the first time in the entire franchise since 1988 that there's actually been a problem with the timeline. And we found it. We figured it out. I'm not the only person. A lot of other internet people have found it. I've looked at various articles. And it's just weird because Don Mancini is the creator of this story. He is the original author of the story screenplay back in 88. And it's his characters who move forward. And he did the last, like, 4 films, something like that. So it's his story, it's his timeline, it's his characters. How does this happen? How did we get such a difference within the corresponding plot points? The continuity error is frightening. And I had this problem with some of the Goosebumps books. The continuity errors in some of the Goosebumps books are frightening. How do you, the author, not keep track of your own timeline? So again, how do you, the creator of this property, not keep track of your own timeline? Was it just a snafu within the prop department that somebody put 2021 on the gravestone instead of 2017? But again, the kids have modern Apple iPhones compared to a 2017 iPhone to a 2021 iPhone. So it's just, I'm nitpicking. I get it. On a whole, the plot was wonderful. I really liked, like I said, I liked the character development. I just found it very interesting that Chucky's just killing parent after parent after parent. You have this beautiful coming out scene between Devin and his mom, and then 10 minutes later, she's pushed down the staircase by Chucky. It's just wild. It's wild. It's hard to get attached to a character not knowing if they're going to survive or not. I liked the the younger sister of Lexi, Caroline. She has some special needs that they have to address in regards to not liking to be touched, or tantrums or things, right? She's very great with art. So it was really neat having a character who needed more attention in certain aspects, and how do you address that, and then how do you interact that character with a homicidal maniac. Very cool, very different. It was just very quick. It was very, does Kyle die in the explosion at the house? What happens with Andy now that Tiffany the doll hijacked the truck that's taking the dolls away after this massive, theater massacre that Chucky then ensues? What happens now that Junior was killed as well? So Jake is the only one left of his family. He lost 4 family members within a matter of a month and a half, if that. And we know the timeline because we start out before Halloween, because Logan's tombstone says October 19th, 21. That's when he was killed. And then we go through Halloween Day, having Chucky in a Hello Kitty mask. Hysterical. And then we go through into November, leading up to Thanksgiving. And we only know that because there's a stuffed turkey, pillow on one of the couches in the Wheeler mansion, estate, if you will. Gorgeous house. And the marble countertop and backsplash was just gorgeous. With the blue veining in it. Very cool. Very rare. So, I'm curious where season 2 is going to start. I've never seen it, so we're going to pay attention. Is it going to start in December? Is it going to start a year later? I don't know. I haven't really looked at the plot points. So we're going to see. We're going to find out. Yeah. Season 1 of Chucky. Absolutely awesome. Thrilling. High-octane fun. And it's very interesting what happens next with this army of Chuckies now being distributed across the country, if they will be distributed, and what happens with Andy now with the truck. A lot of what-ifs. A lot of what happens next, what's going to happen next, what-ifs. But that's the cool part about this. So, what happens next? Very neat, very interesting, very innovative, except for the continuity error. But we'll bat the eyelash. That's the only problem I have. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.